it up here already just to save a bit of time in this quick video, but you can see from the title that we're comparing tail length in two species here. Felis catus is the domestic house cat, and Felis sylvestris is the wild cat. So here's our tail length. We've got uncertainties. We're measured in centimeters to the first decimal. Our average, notice, has one extra decimal place, so that's true for the mean. You can always include one extra decimal. And then standard deviation is always 2 decimals. Now, I've sorted the data already, but I'll just show it to you again. So if you highlight and you go up here to this A to Z button, I'm going to sort it in ascending order, and it'll give you this warning, but that's what you want. So continue with the selection because you just want to order this by itself. You don't want to try and make these numbers move. So hit that, it'll sort, and then you do the same thing for your other population that you're comparing to, assuming you have 2. I could sort it in descending too. It doesn't matter. You'll see that switches the numbers. I like to go ascending, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there we go. Then the next step is to choose your category limits, or what we call bins. So this is going to be your x-axis labels. So what categories are you going to sort these into? So we want to have at least 5 categories. I've gone ahead and chosen them. On our graph, we're only going to show the upper limits of each category. So I find it personally nice to make a 0 at the end of those rather than here, because we're not going to see these ones. Again, notice that there's 1 decimal place here, which matches our data. So that's going to make sure that we don't get a data point where we're not sure where to put it. That could fit in 2 categories or something like that. So I've chosen mine. We're going up by 2.9 approximately. I chose that just by looking at our smallest is 22 and our largest is 41. So we've got a range of about 19. So if we go by 3s, that gives us 6 or 7-ish categories, which is a good amount. We want 5 to 7 categories generally. Okay, so here's our bin limits, and then we just need to go through and count, which I've already done. But basically we're saying, okay, who's less than equal to 22? Over here for Felis catus, just this one individual. So we put a 1 there. Then 22 to 25, okay, there's 1, 2, just 1. So we put 1, 25.1 to 28. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a 4 there, and so on. Go through and count. So I've done all that counting already. This is how we're ordered. Okay, we're going to do the histogram using a bar graph, or in this case, an Excel column chart. So I need to click on charts. I'm going to click on charts, column, and I'll add a clustered column. Notice I haven't even, oops. I don't want anything selected. I'll just have a blank space. If I hit column, clustered column, it'll just give me a blank thing. I'm going to tell it specifically which data I want to use. So I'll go to select data. Okay, I'll move this out of the way so you can see what I'm selecting. So I'm going to add a series. That's going to be one series will correspond to the one population, and then we'll add another one that corresponds here. So our x-axis labels, as we said, we're just going to use the upper limits here. So select all of those, and that will put them on the x-axis. Okay. I'm also going to put the y values are going to be, these are the frequency counts, right? So I'm going to select these, and there you go. So we can see the upper limits here of each category. So up to 22, up to 25, 28, and so on. Notice they're even spacing, and we've got a nice bell-shaped curve there, which is a little bit skewed to the upper side of the bell curve. But we can also rename that, so we can call this Felis catus. And I'm going to add another series now, and same thing. The x-axis labels are the same, so select those again. The y values are the frequencies. Select those, button, select button, name it, and I'll call it Felis sylvestris. Hit OK. Now that populates right there into there. Remember, we don't need these lines in the background, so delete those. Okay, we do want these labels, unlike the scatter plot, and then this is frequency. You can go ahead and under chart layout, then you can add a proper title. So if I click here, I'll save this. Under charts, let's go to layout. I'll add a, chart. Click on my chart. Now I can get to my layout. Got to be clicked on the chart. I want the axis titles on the vertical axis, or rotated title. I'm going to say number of individuals, or you can do frequency. I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's not squished there. that in. Maybe just like that a bit. Okay, I'll add a chart title then too. Chart title above the chart. And just like before, I'll copy and paste that in. I'm just going to change this. Figure 1, comparison of, and I'll say the distribution, because that's what we're displaying here. And we just need to make this a bit smaller, so oops. I'll change the font size to be I don't know, 12 or 14. Let's just go with 12. And then I can move that box up. Okay. Just something like that. You can play with the shape a bit to not have any data hidden by the title there. Maybe I'll just move that over a tad. So it's centered. Okay. And oops, let's put units in here. Length in centimeters. And we want that axis title on the horizontal. So tail length. And here we want to put centimeters and plus or minus 0.1 centimeters. Okay, so there's our histogram. Nicely done. We can easily see the shape of the curve. So we see the red group, Sylvestris, their average is higher. We can also look to the standard deviation. So I'll even quickly make the scatter plot of these two guys so you can see the comparison between the histogram and the scatter plot. So if I just select these, we're going to make another chart, scatter plot. This is what we did before. I'll just do it the sort of quick and dirty version. Get rid of these. I'm not going to add labels and all that stuff, but what I will do is here's our two populations, and let's get some error bars on there quickly. Marker style. Let's get X's. Okay, and then error bars, Y error bars. I'm going to add them in. We want these kind, custom, specify. Going fast. You can watch the other video if you want it to be more explained, but just to give you a quick look at these two populations. Let's put hats on these guys. Okay, so you can see here that the means are slightly higher, and that in this case, the population, it's got a slightly larger variation. So that's our graph there. So two different ways to represent the same thing, basically. Okay, that's all. Hope you enjoyed.